Hello, everyone. All right. What a day, hey? I'm a little late getting to the game today because it is my sister's birthday. And so we were doing some stuff for her and getting things together, which is always a fun prospect. Um, uh, Other than that, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on right now. If any of you follow me on Facebook, you probably saw my grumpy post yesterday, and that's because I found out some news that bothers me. But you know what? I'm doing my best not to let it get to me. Uh, One of the things that has happened over the pandemic for me is that I have stopped. I have stopped obsessing over things that I have no control over. So while I keep up on politics, it's not something I'm spending a lot of time reading about. I will do my civic duty when I can. And, you know, I've campaigned for people and I've talked to people and I encourage everybody to vote, but I can't go out there and force people to vote and I can't go out there and cause changes. I can only use my voice, and so I do. I'm not spending a lot of time obsessing over the news. You know, I do what I can do, and that's the best I can do. And there's no sense in my getting my panties in a wad over it. Because you know what? I could be really miserable all the time because let's face it, the world's kind of crap right now. But that doesn't do any good. What am I good at? Telling stories, teaching people to cook. Both of these things are essential right now. Everybody has to eat, and everybody needs a break. And if my books make that break a little more exciting, awesome. If I jerk, it's because there's a fly in here and it's buzzing and it keeps dive bombing my ears. I hate that. Anyway, so what was I going to talk about today? So I wanted to talk about October prep for Nanowrimo. So I am working on a science fiction novel for Nanowrimo. Hard science, very technical minded, with a lot of good story. And the idea that I am working with is that I want to present something that will not turn off the people who are like my partner into very sciencey science stuff, but that have enough story to carry through people like myself who don't necessarily understand all the math. You know, there will be a certain leap because I'm dealing with the future of space travel and things like that. So yeah, there's going to be stuff that doesn't exist in today's world, but it's all founded on real science and things that are happening in the news now. So yeah, I'm really proud of the story that I'm putting together. Now, some of you know, usually what I do is I pick a topic and then I start on November 1st and I write to November 30th and that's it. Well, this year I have already started work on this book, and because I am working on it with someone else, that means that I do not have the opportunity to just decide when I'm going to write. I have to work with my partner. So what I'm doing is when I start writing on November 1st, you guys will know how many words I started with, and then I'll add 50,000 to that, and that's my goal for NaNoWriMo. So I'm hoping that that will work out really well. This is a book I really feel like needs to be written. It's got a really good storyline. And excuse me, I'm going to cough here. Should have gotten some water before I came up. Usually I'm doing this with a coffee in my hand, and it's a little late in the day because the world's been a little crazy today. That's okay. We're all good. Everything's good. Anyway, I use October as planning time for NaNoWriMo. And just so you know, today is the 11th, pardon me. We have 3 weeks. That's it. 3 weeks, people. And then it's 0 hour. And I know people who are up October 31st, they stay up until midnight and then they start writing and they want to get that first, 10,000 words on the page before dawn. I don't do that, okay? Because, yeah, no. But basically, for those who are new to this, NaNoWriMo challenges you to write 50,000 words in 30 days. That's basically a novel. It's a short novel, but it's a novel. If you make it to 50,000, you win. That's it. There's no judge, there's no jury, nobody reads your book. It is on the honor system, but I mean, why would you cheat? It makes no sense. Because you're the only person who really knows anyway. So people do it in different ways. Some people do nonfiction, some people do fiction, some people do what I'm doing, which is write part of a novel because the novel is larger than 50,000 words. Some people write poetry. Nano has kind of become a huge thing that people do at their own rate. And there's even a young people's NaNoWriMo. So if you have a young person who's under 18 who is interested, it does not matter how old they are, they can join in the NaNoWriMo youth program, and you can reach out to me. I will help you get set up with that. I think it's a great way to challenge kids. They have lower number goals, but they still have goals, and they have wonderful ways to keep kids really involved in what's going on. Anyway, NaNoWriMo has a wonderful website, nanowrimo.org. That's NaNoWrimo.org. And they help you keep track of your data. They keep, but they don't keep your novel. I write in another program. A lot of people write in Google Docs. I'm using something right now called Readsy. People use Scrivener. Noveler. I mean, there's 100 places out there you can go and do the actual writing, or you can write on paper. Nobody's going to be upset with you at all. If you write 1,667 words every day of November, you will end up with, I think, like 50,002 words. I usually set my goal to 2,500. I have a good chunk of 3 hours in the morning, and I can write almost 3,000 words in 3 hours, constantly on a regular basis. And so I take the time and I go in and I sit down and I do it every morning. I get my coffee, I get cracking, and I do what I got to do. And that works for me. Some people have to do it after work. Some people do it early in the morning. Find your groove and do it. I go with 2,500 words a day because at the end of November, for those of us who are in the United States, we have Thanksgiving. If you're Canadian, you had Thanksgiving today, and so it doesn't interfere with NaNoWriMo. Unfortunately, I'm not in Canada, so it will be like right at the end when everybody's in panic mode. So I always plan ahead so that I am ahead in numbers, so that if I don't have time to write on Thanksgiving Day, it's okay. I will allow myself that day off. And also, it's November, it's cold time, it's flu season. And this year we're dealing with COVID as well, and things are a bit more open. So leave yourself a few days to get sick. If you write those extra words every day, what happens is, excuse me, you give yourself that buffer so that if something happens and you can't write, or you sit down and you write for 3 hours and all you get written down is 100 words, it's not catastrophic. So that's where you want to go with that. Cookbooks. So, as you know, my cookbook is out in the wild, the Reenactors Cookbook. If you haven't purchased it yet, now is still a good time. Amazon seems to be putting the hardcover edition on sale kind of randomly. So please go out, purchase it. It makes a great gift for anybody who's into history, food nerdery, cooking, people who like to learn different methods. That's got stuff for cooking outdoors, stuff for cooking indoors. You don't have to be a member of the SCA or a Rennie to get it. You can enjoy it, and it just has some really yummy recipes in it. So there's that. And then I'm working on the Van Life Cookbook, and we'll see where that goes. I just sort of finished the first 3/4 of the first chapter, and I'm slowly adding recipes in as I come up with them, because a lot of these are new to me. I'm used to cooking large, so, like, I mean, the minimum number I cook for in an average day is 6 to 10 people, and cooking for one takes a lot of effort on on my part. Um, a lot of effort. This is a learning curve for me. Um, so as I'm adapting some of my bigger recipes and bringing them small, um, that's going along. I have Fantastic Feasts and How to Cook Them, which is a series of recipes that come from fiction that I have either read or written. Um, and it has all sorts of stuff. So Game of Thrones inspired things, The Hobbit inspired things, Outlander inspired things. It's kind of a mishmash of wonderful foods that don't fit into a regular cookbook, but are not historically accurate in any way, shape, or form. And I started it because I have all these great ideas. I have, in one of my fantasy novels that I'm working on, I have a race of elves, and they're herbivores. So they don't eat any meat or any meat product. They can't. It makes them sick. And so I started talking about their recipes. And then, my boyfriend is vegan, and I'm talking about the recipes. I'm going, that sounds really good. I should make that. And then I'm making it, and it's like, if you've ever had beef with barley soup. Well, I now have a mushroom barley soup that is vegan, and it has that richness and quality that you get from beef with barley without having any animal products in it. I'm really proud of that. It turned out really well. So that's like my elven food. And so I have a bunch of different things, oat cakes that I'm doing based on recipes that I found in Outlander, and just a whole variety of things. And that one is fun. It's not on the slate to come out anytime soon. But it's kind of like what I do when I want to do something fun. I add a fun recipe in. And then I'm also working kind of seriously in the background, a bread cookbook. And that's because so many people have said, well, I could never cook, I could never bake. And I know, because I'm one of those people. When I got into my relationship, I had no experience baking at all. I couldn't bake. It was crap. And my partner really pushed me to learn how to do it by hand. These days I use the Mixmaster for kneading and stuff, and I, shorten the time it takes me, because I'm baking a couple of times a week right now rather than purchasing bread. So, I'm getting a lot of experience. So I want to teach other people how to do it. And there are a lot of people who've told me that the way that I explain cooking and baking makes sense, even in written. And so I wanted to do that sort of as a service to those who might want to learn how to bake who have not yet learned. And also to give some really fun recipes. I'm learning a lot right now. We just bought some rye, like actual rye berries, I guess, the seed. And we're hand grinding them we have a big hand mill. And so we're grinding it and using it. And I had forgotten just how dry pre-ground flour is. When I have my fresh whole wheat that I've ground by hand, or the rye, it's so wet. And you forget about that. And I need to explain that in the book too. So yeah, you guys are going to get the benefit of all this stuff that I'm remembering and experiencing. And just to close it down, you guys should know I will be at Monadnock Oil and Vinegar in Amherst on October 16th. That is this coming Saturday, okay, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And you can find the info online. I'm very excited that I'm getting to do this. I will be dressed up, and I will have stew to give out. Looks like I'm doing a chicken stew, but we'll see what happens. And I'm so excited. I will have fresh bread, I will have stew, and I will have cookbooks for sale, and I'm happy to talk about it. I'm hoping to do a little bit of talking about how I cook over a fire and why I cook over a fire and why I dress like a weirdo when I'm doing all that. Anyway, I have dinner I got to go make for my sister. It's her birthday and it's 5 o'clock. It's time to get that going. So, you guys have yourselves a great week and keep working on planning for Nano. Okay. Even if you're going to kind of write by the seat of your pants, if you're going to be a pantser, that it's okay to have a few plot points written down, you know? When I wrote my first vampire novel, what I did was I actually sat and I did like one bullet point for each chapter just so I had a vague idea of the direction that the story was going. And I found that really helpful because I could go back and refer to it and go, oh, yeah, I have to write a scene that will take me there. Okay. And so, don't be afraid to jot things down. You don't have to use it. If you're writing and discover that something that you plot pointed doesn't work for you, just ignore it, toss it, move on. So, yeah, go out, prepare, and don't forget to drink the water, eat the food, and like and subscribe. Okay? I love you guys, and I'll see you next week.